Okay, I'm back. I've been gone for a while. There were some things I needed to do. There was a new sunset. But now, I did a lot, so... I'm gonna stand here and then I'm gonna do this. No, I'm not gonna do that. Actually, you know what? You know what? Oh, right, man. I should stand over there. Right. Alright. Alright, let's make that chest. I think this will be a little longer, I would say. I'm gonna do your work for a longer time on this. As well, the time. I should not be using that. Let me just sorry. Sorry. Alright, come on, kid. Stop making that sound. There we go. And then we just in here put all of this. And then put it. This is do that. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Go. Over that. Then I'm gonna just pipe that. Make another chest. There's a lot to do. I've actually thought of. I wanna make something. I realize that if I want to make something about stop easy, stop making that sound. There we go. Alright, let's get going. At some point I also need to make the video. There we go. And there we go. Da, 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 da. So as you can see, it lags a bit when you're in this frame, and I think that's one thing I'm gonna like showcase. That okay, I'm gonna jump from here, and as you can see, I'm lagging. I am I need to lay it like this. Oh, sorry. This is horrible. This is gonna be a very, very horrible experience. Yeah, it's like, look at this frame rate. Oh my. But, what I have thank you. What I've considered doing is maybe I should take this time to start thinking about how will the underground of Graveland be. Oh, music. Because that's a thing I haven't thought of that much. Alright. So, I will... That's a spider. I don't know why. But, I just put down my audio. So, I think what I'll do, what I'll have to do, I wanna, start today to try to fully flesh out what is gonna be the underground of Drafleon. Because books to this. No, that's not. This. Yeah, that's better. That is much better. Just get this closer to me. There, now I'm in position. So, yeah. That, alright. And then I just take the video. Okay, I think I'm just gonna turn the decrease in audio down. I'm gonna remove the muffling. Anyway, I think I'm gonna actually spend this evening trying to cook up what the underground of Drafleon is gonna be, because I've not made any progress really on my story other than just being about, oh, there's gonna be different factions underground. So now I'm gonna cook it up fully. So after Drafleon, after the Travels, they banished or tried to exterminate the tyrants. They fled below ground, at least the ones that were like part of the garden. The ones that weren't part of the garden, they were, well, they're still above ground. There are a few oddities such as a branch. And, well, who else? There's also every, Renoxen is basically a tyrant, a fragment of tyrant. Not a very big one, but it is a fragment of tyrant. A few Croxigores are, but they are keeping low profile. Or maybe I should make it that once a leader takes over, then the tyrant kind of takes them over. No, I shouldn't do that. That would be beyond the powers of tyrants. They can't just, when they die, then decide what happens to them. No, then they just die. They're not lords of death. So therefore, the the Fraxen tyrants, they are very rare. I don't know, maybe I should give a specific number for how many there are. But I don't know how many there are, that's the problem. I don't know how many of them are, because I haven't really... the fragment society does not really come up that much in the story. Because so far, it is just a... kind of like a slum underground where people just... or where the fragment just... No, not underground, on the water, on the seabed, where they just take whatever they can get and just build stuff out of it. Or build, craft weapons and such. And they really need to raid the surface in order to get resources to do stuff. Everything is run down, there's not really a good place for them. With humanity, they actually got a lot more, like, material, because then there was actually life under sea. Because you gotta remember, I guess that's the only advantage that Earth has over Drafels, and that is Earthborn, they can evolve with time, or like adapt to their surroundings over very few generations. I might be saying that it takes a long time to do evolution, but all BS on that. They change rapidly to suit the environment. I might argue that that's because they already had the genetics inside of them. Maybe. I mean, at that point, it sounds like a really weird thing. But this is not a talk about that. In this universe, regardless of what is true or not, they are, well, able to adapt, evolve fairly rapidly to it. Though they are also susceptible to radioactive waves. Electromagnetic waves, like radiation. Ionizing radiation, specifically. So, that is the one advantage that humanity has over their rebels of Draflion, or any creature from Draflion, really. Because they were forged by Tyrant, they made them basically immune to radioactive rays. That means they can't really evolve to suit the environment. They just make do in the environment, and they can pretty much take in the environment. But they have to be actively modified in order to adapt to an environment. They're not gonna evolve, they're not gonna improve unless, well, the graphics make changes to them. Because they are effectively the perfect creature. But beside the point. There are, of course, but what my point was, basically just there are tyrants above ground still. But the major ones, the ones that were dragons, the ones that took the form of a dragon, they have been eliminated or banished below ground. Goldash. He kind of sacrificed himself in order to like distract Light Fist while he was having the tyrants evacuate down beneath ground so that they could one day get their revenge. Now this is not like the outer crust of Drafland. This is not the. Actually, I don't know if it has crusts. I should also think about that. Because the thing is, the Drafts, they kind of control everything. And I think tyrants would have forged it so that it doesn't have earthquakes or volcanic activity or anything that's like disaster anything that like incurs disasters. So, but they might have changed it over time because now they're like underground and could make it. I need to consider that also. But at the same time, they wouldn't do it like because then Travels would know and the graphics would know that, oh, they are active underground. And then maybe the Travels say, okay, we should go descend down to kill our ancient enemy. Even though at that point they had actual enemies, but that's sorry. Oh, well, they are still enemy, but like a light fist would not want them to be enemies. Yeah, but light fist wouldn't want them to be enemies. Anyway, on to a point. The tyrants are now underground, and they are, well, underground. They are not just like an outer layer of Drafland. No, they are like deep inside the ground. far below where effectively just the hole they fell down in, gathered down into, went like to the core of the world, like almost. Not quite to the core, but there's another hole that does lead to the core. And there's that hole, but well, now it has been sealed at the bottom. And also it has been sealed at the top. So the drivers couldn't follow them. And now they are scattered around the underground, far below ground. There are also some that are in the upper layer. There is a spider in the upper layer of sorts. Not with a spider, it's like a slug combined with a spider. In that order. It's like a spider. It has like a slug main body, and then it has the legs of a spider. Only these are made of some hardened of like steel or something. I can't remember. I don't think osmium, because osmium is very difficult. But they could adapt themselves to get osmium, because unlike Draffles, the tyrants can adapt. I mean, that's why they turned it maybe from tyrants, dragons into spiders. That's more applicable down there. They're also like the normal ones. They are like fairly big and fairly tall. Like they have spindle legs, and the main body is like double the size of a straight neck that has been lain horizontally. So that's pretty big. It's like they are like two. I don't know if they're 2.5 meters or if they're just 2.1 meters. But like the straight necks are pretty big and bulky. They can effectively be compared to, I think 2.5 makes sense. I'm a bit tired, but you know, I'll see how long I can. How long has it been? Oh dear. How have I spent that long? No, that seems right. That seems the fact that I turned. Maybe I'm not equipped actually. Wait a minute. Turn back. I was initially considering just doing an all-nighter, but I think it might be. Ooh. I think it. Hear me. Oh, only. It would make it a lot easier for the editor. Do it like this. Because then it doesn't have to get any more files. It doesn't have to do modifications to each of them. Like, I think I should do this. Like this. Like, do not take for granted the editor's effort. Does a lot. Dio mio, I am a wreck. But yeah, The problem is, down there on the ground, then like the top layer I don't really care about because there's a bunch of other creatures, but in the layers like below that, where like travels aren't realistically gonna be able to like look into, there I want there to be a lot of life and a lot of struggle and combat, because you can access this cavern system from the ocean, so that means that there are Fraxen and that there is horror. Like, this is free real estate, and horror has had time to stay here, and given horror's interest, it would be interested in ensuring that that travelers could not Tyrant could not expand further down. Now they had the surface and not getting like the core and like surrounding facilities, so therefore it is very bent on eradicating Draflion assets, or making sure that the tyrants can't get resources down there, or like can't expand there. Therefore, they will already have established something down there and kind of warped the place to be uninhabitable for other things in itself, because it doesn't want life. It hates life. Or well, it won't wish to exterminate life through its purpose. So therefore, horror would be a faction that is basically one entity that has one goal, and that is to make the entire underground uninhabitable. It would be warping the place so that you couldn't really expand or walk around or transport units. They would eventually just try to stop humanity from expanding. Well, humanity is not there, but like it would try to stop Tyrant from getting there. And it would do it in a way where it makes certain that like the entire place rotates on a fourth dimensional level. So that means that paths, they just kind of phase in and out of existence. Suddenly a third dimensional creature can't leave their domain, and suddenly it can. It's basically just like an ever-changing intricate web of caverns. That is what it incurs on its territories. Meanwhile, Tyrant would wish to stabilize it and like make certain that there's only one path, like realign it back to the original web of ways. And then there is yeah, that's what else did I write? Ship, it needs to boot up. Crap. I had a bunch of things on there. I copy and debit. Please don't. Please copy and do. Okay, good. Underwater. Beneath the surface of Drafton lies the caverns, but these only stretch so fast down. As horror found itself trapped below the ocean, it felt the need not to allow Tyrant to corrupt its world further. So it made the underground. far below the surface cavern, an intricate web of tunnels, hollows, and halls. It was all convoluted, designed to be an intricate web, designed to be without reason, and even warp, as segments in tunnels turned in the fourth dimension. You could be lost easily. All shifted, and new paths arose, and it could come anywhere, and be anywhere. By the time Tyrant was cast low, it was too late to reverse. Dreflion's stability relied on the frail walls of that remnant. By the time Tyrant was cast low, it was too late to reverse. Dreflion's stability relied on the frail walls that remained, and Tyrant delegates centuries to stabilize their structure. Without the intervention, Dreflion's mainland may very well have plummeted to the ocean long ago. Showing their care stands even now, and that is why they did not abandon Dreflion in its final moments, for they needed to do all to give Lightfist time to make his way to space. Yeah, so the faction that's in there are Thraxon, feral Thraxons, Carkels, Phonox, spiders, gorillas. Well, the spiders and gorillas, them just... It should be another word for it. Like, to explain that, it is in the first book, like the first telling, their Tackle, or the main character, he is like just a huntling. He's a very young. He's like 2 years or 4 years? I can't remember. But anyways, he's very young, and he is on a hunt. It doesn't go well. The next day, there is the mother of the creature that he had, or the child of the creature that he had accidentally killed by accident, and he has to save it from some wargs. Now, the kid of those wargs, Sako ends up like tumbling down with that kid into the underground, and he can't really get up because Raffles can't really fly, and even though he has an element, he doesn't really have control over it, because every time he uses that element, he basically just fries his hand and it starts burning, or like glowing molten lava. Glowing molten, so he can't really use it to get up. He can't neither climb because it's like solid rock. I guess he could, but he would also have to drag that walk with him, which is beyond his ability. Like, he hits hard, but that is mainly from his speed, effectiveness. He's only a hybrid. He's not a straight neck, so he really doesn't have an option. They have to go through the caverns, and it's also risky to put up his Rafik, his handler, up to the surface because, well, there are 2 walks up there. Why would they? There's no telling what they would do to him. And, well, Thaco is very protective of his handler. Any traveler is protective of their handler. Like, the worst idea you can do is to kill the handler unless you want them enraged. And when they're enraged, they can still think straight. It's not that type of rage, where they just lose all cognitive ability. Oh. Wow. Alright. Back to talking about that. So, they have to go through the caverns. Now, it's not really down into the deep caverns. This is just the shallow caverns. And then, as they're down there, like, they are basically just walking for 3 days in these caverns. Now, that might sound like that's, like, dangerous, but, like, they're travelers and walk, they work differently. They're built different than humanity, so don't push it off. Besides, there is also... The handler does have some resources. Was it only 2 days? No, I think it was 3 days. That's also how long, roughly, the war lasts. But, yeah, then they walk down there, and on their way, they meet a creature. That is, well, the spiders, and then after they kill their queen, then comes the gorillas and kind of like ambushes the whole thing. And that enrages us, Zago, so he destroys all of the invaders. And then from that point on, the spiders are kind of allies with Zago. Well, at least that comes up in the second book. But yeah. Then they are led on to get over to another facility that's like a chamber with a single flower growing, but that's another story. Anyway, that's where those come from. The spiders and gorillas. I haven't found a name for them yet. And also the gorillas, I'm uncertain how exactly they should look. Specifically. But I have a good idea about the spiders, because those have been the main part I thought of. I think actually at one point I knew what the gorillas looked roughly like, but at that point, actually I knew once what they looked like, but at that point it was just like a creature that Tyrant had made, but I realized that it's better that it is Tyrant. At least their leader is a Tyrant. But, yeah, besides that, there is Wraiths of Chains. Effectively, that's just one creature. And then there are, like, manifestations of that one creature. It is... it also has some relations to the spider. Then there are Enthrallers. Those are a new one. I have given them no thought. Then there's dragons, which are the typical tyrant. I've given them thoughts. A lot of thought. Because, like, initially the dragons, the one who created the Draffles, weren't actually tyrants. They weren't an eldritch being. They were just a creature. Like everything else. But then, as I was realizing that maybe this should be compatible with like, if ever another franchise wants to take over this, like, continue on the story, like, after the main one about Drafleon, they can, like, use it for something, I realized maybe I need to, like, give a little more origin to them. Then I realized, tyrants. Perfect. Genius. Effectively just a scene, but where he has a very directed goal. So he himself is very changey and has all the wills, but he then just fragments whenever he disagrees with himself. So that eventually will just have a bunch of sieges, but each siege has their own values. And they stick to those values without ever changing from it. What else is there? Flesh... No. Then after that there is Homelander graphics. this is also a new idea. Like, I have considered this for a particular setting, and how it could actually integrate one of a famous faction into the setting of the future thing. But yeah, it's basically just the graphics from the homeworld right before it got destroyed. These ones are depraved and like corrupted. They are brutal, both to themselves and to others. With the face of evil, it just kind of broke them. And with the ripping away of all that was like in their life, it just kind of broke them, as it would do any human. But I am considering whenever, but to be honest, it is actually not that it is not actually that they broke and then started being evil. No, it was rather that they prayed for help and then something came to help them. But, well, that I still have to think about, actually. What came to help? To help. Yeah. They are very similar to another faction. Those, I gotta say, those are inspired by the Skaven. Like, fully fledged, that's inspired by the Skaven. Like, because the graphics, they are not physically able to be evil. They're just not able to be evil. But with the face of humanity's betrayal, then it's kind of they realize, okay, other things could be evil, so therefore we have to account for that in everything. And we can also have to account that people can make mistakes, because graphics don't make mistakes. It was a shock to them that once they got a human into a facility to like see, then he did a mistake and it just broke everything. And they were just baffled that that was even possible to make a mistake. So they had to make a bunch of regulations for when humanity interacts with them, and where they can be and cannot be in their facilities. Not that humanity has ever been allowed into one of their facilities again. But if they are allowed into at one point, then a bunch of safety regulations have to be set up, and a human can find that very annoying. And that they then also haven't realized that they need a safety regulation for that, because they assume the human is gonna comply, but then they won't comply, and then dang, now they have to throw out everything again. So the graphics are basically the perfect creature, the perfect creatures, but yeah, the Homelanders, they are homeworlders after the world got destroyed. They are depraved. They are evil. They slaughter kill. And they're basically just Skaven. And their weapons, they, well, if they got the material, then they can make it so they don't actually explode. The problem is they don't have the material, so they gotta make them explode. That's the funny thing about it. They have the knowledge to actually make everything not explode. They don't have researchers because they got everything. They all talk about, oh, if I just had this scrap, if I just had this scrap, I'll make the most effective gun shooter that would kill murder. I can't do it. Gave an impression. But like, they would be able to kill everything. Then we have the Lost graphics. These graphics are from the expedition, and they were the ones that were dropped below ground as the Fraxons, or like Tenrax, mounted his assault on Drefleon. and laid waste to most. Then was well, some of the facilities, because war, they didn't consider war being a thing then. With just a single fraction entering their vessel, and it would just plummet the entire thing down into the underground. And now they are part of the power struggle down there. So lost graphics, they're also there. And unlike the Homelander graphics, they aren't actually evil. They're good and they are civil. And they have their facilities to make special weaponry and such. But after realizing that there are Homelander graphics, I actually don't know, would they be allies of the Homelander graphics, or would they be like ensuring that the facilities are incompatible with the Homelander graphics? Or would the Homelander graphics at least have some moral compass when they, if they ever take over a facility? No, they wouldn't have a moral compass because they were never born with a moral compass. They only think about what is practical. Though, when they say practical, then it also means like ensuring, like, not putting anyone really at risk. Like also keeping in mind other creatures' well-being. It's actually, would they have that? Or would that just be the explorers that would have that thing? I think also the Homelanders, but I have to consider that. Alright, what's next? Human undergang. Yeah, those are basically just humanity, because, well, the problem is you can't really... Humans can't walk the surface, and that graphics can't either walk the surface during nighttime. If they do, then they get fried by the radioactive rays of Hunter's Moon, which is basically which is just a neutron star. It orbits the planet, and sometimes either tyrants or horrors do like to control it. Because they were the ones who dragged it over to Draflion, so they sure as heck have the power to... If they were able to drag it across the stars, then they can also manipulate it when it's that close to them. It is not that demanding from them. So sometimes they, well, it is still demanding because they are fractured. In fact, only horror can really interact with it anymore because, like, it is still half of... It's still the other half, like, fully. Sometimes it splits its small fragments off of itself, which it uses to do its bidding, but then those shards get re-assimilated into it. And incorporates all the knowledge they have accumulated while being away from it. So, yeah, it is basically the only one who manipulates it. But that means that humanity has to have other ways to do their legal business, which in smuggling, therefore, they used underground. And in that process, some of the gangs down there discovered, hey, there's this entire civilization, there's this entire facility underground, and like these caverns everywhere, and guess what? It's just free resources. We're gonna be rich. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So therefore they just wandered around, taking out every... Like, they also became part of the power struggle. And this is like gangs, so they have some interesting weaponry. They have like smuggled down there. And they're basically just doing mining operations to send back resources to the surface to make a lucrative business. Even osmium they do. They are also the main suppliers of osmium. Oh! Oh, that's how humanity gets osmium. Ning. How humanity get us. Because the thing is, normal bullets are ineffective against rifles. It doesn't do a thing to them. Well, it does recoil them, and it might, with the larger calibers, actually destroy them. A tank shell will rip through a rifle, but the thing is, they're usually going to dodge that. Even straight nicks can dodge those, because they can feel the object through the fourth dimension and the elemental powers. And that means they can see the shell coming for them. So they can dodge. If it hits the ground, they might get ruffled, like thrown up in the air and then land on the ground, but they'll survive that. It's only a head-on collision that's gonna kill them. The other thing is just gonna rough them up a bit, but when they just get on their legs and they're fine. But osmium, on the other hand, is heavy enough to actually punch through their scales and deal damage. Now, you also gotta remember, rifles, they don't have many vital organs. There's a reason why there's only 1,000 of them at max. Because they are pretty strong. But like, osmium is actually effective against them, and it might not take them down until they hit the black box or like eviscerate their body. Like, make it so it can't physically function. But they do, but that takes a lot of bullets. So they need a supply of osmium, and rifles confiscate osmium because it's such a valuable resource for them. It is the only weapon they can use against Fraxons. Well, not really, they can use other weapons, but like, it is the most effective one. The heaviest clubs and such. The only thing that's more valuable is Blayman. Which is basically just compressed diamonds. Well, I haven't looked at that, but actually, I need to consider that. Crap. I'm kidding. Dark. But yeah, it is a very conductive material, so it's able to like take the temperature of a rifle, which like is overheating, and then transfer it into the weapon, and then they can hit with it, transferring the heat to whatever they hit. And well, they can kind of transport it, like, cool down that way. Fireborn don't really use it. It's only Iceborn that have a great need for it. Which means that they don't need much of it. But there are, well, there are weapons for it. It also, effectively, if you, Blayman, or four. I just realized Blayman armor can effectively turn a hybrid or any type of rifle that has an element of ice or fire. Blayman can effectively turn them into a plateborn. Because a plateborn's ability is that he can disperse, he can dissipate or absorb heat incredibly fast. But if a rifle is cladded in Blayman, he would be able to transfer their temperature really fast, or like get temperature really fast. Effectively the same speed as a plateborn. I've never thought of that. That's actually pretty cool. I'll keep that in mind, actually. Blayman armor for rifles. But yeah, osmium is the second most valuable resource, and it is difficult to get. So therefore, humanity, it is a very lucrative business to get osmium. So that'll basically be the human gang's mission. Get as much osmium as possible. Get it to so that they could be used as weaponry against rifles. Effectively, that gives the some of them might have a noble cause, some of them might have a selfish cause. I don't know. Not important. So I need to consider what more is there. Oh crap. What more is there to talk about? Then there's Broodmother, which sounds pretty bad, but it's not actually. What it is referring to is that in the original idea I had, fucking damn it. In the original idea I had, their aura was there was kind of a when they were still just dragons, and where tyrants were dragons and it weren't horror creatures. There one of them was actually I am very important for this world to even be living, and I have full control over my children, so you can't do anything to me. So Lightfitz had to spare her. And that is the Broodmother, who is basically a kinetic dragon. A kinetic dragon that took and a kinetic dragon that decided to betray her people for the safety of her children and herself. Actually, that's all she did, and then she just... Well, she has been allowed to live because she keeps the world intact. There was another reason. I can't remember why she was spared, but there was another reason. It wasn't actually because the world needed to be stabilized. Maybe it's just because those Dreffels were super strong, and I didn't really like that, because that is the Dreffels coming with a compromise, and Dreffels don't compromise. That is also one of their weaknesses. They do not compromise, and that's what caused the rebellion. Which is why they then enacted a bunch of regulations on how to treat other species, because it should never happen again that they exterminate a creature where they could have done it another way. Next is... Oh, gotta respect Minecraft music. Oh, copyright. Okay. Is there anyone here? No, it doesn't look like it. So, I also realize now why the tyrants do like humanity, and that's because after the incident with their own creations and betraying them, they started to not like crafted life, even though they did make some crafted life, but they like made sure that they would not betray them. They are instead now fascinated about natural life, and humanity is natural life. They are like not crafted by tyrant. That is, well, the thing is that in this universe, God does not exist. So therefore, that means that humanity is actually evolved. And that they evolved pretty well, but not with radiation, as is with our current life. But anyway, that is why Tyrant actually does not exterminate humanity to start with. Anyway, the Brood Mother is one that manages the kinetic grapples, and it always ensures that there's enough kinetic grapples, and it also forms its own kinetic grapples on the ground, and it keeps the walls from caving in on themselves, because the grapples, they are kinetic grapples. They have the ability to do so. I need to mark this as a dead block. Yeah, but that's what the Brood Mother does. She just makes sure that there's kinetic grapples. She breeds or spawns kinetic grapples, and she is also responsible for ensuring that on the surface they spawn, they get kinetic grapples, and like regulating that. So that's the Brood Mother. Then there are Flesh Reapers. That is the yellow draffles, the lightning draffles, which are usually accustomed to getting the case of bloodlust. Oh, another thing, tyrants are able to reverse rat. They can just simply eliminate it, make it vaporize out of existence. So that's why they can kill and eat rabbits. That's also a thing. Draffles can't really do that. They can only use fire, extreme temperatures, or kinetic force, and none of those are gonna fix the problem. Meanwhile, the Eldritch power, the tyrants, they are able to just nullify it. That was a weird sound. So yeah, tyrants, they are very grand asset. Then there are, then there are the yellow draffles, the flesh shredders. This is just a bunch of yellow draffles that may have gotten bloodlust. They're dangerous. And they like shredding infantry. Because it can... And also large things. But like, they're driven by their insatiable thirst for seeing the blood flow. Not consuming any of it. Or sometimes they do. But like, it is just the thrill they are after. They would make some very good Slaanesh worshippers. Draffles would also make good standard regular Draffles would also make good Slaanesh worshippers, because they, by exercising justice, that is kind of their emotion. Like, seeing injustice and then is kind of the emotion. Witnessing injustice and then feeling it should be punished. That is the emotion. That could actually get really depraved or really chivalrous very quickly. I think Certainly could twist that into a evil deed. Like, I need to see as many crimes being done as humanly possible. I'm gonna have this slave armada of criminals I'm just gonna unleash on a world. And I'm just gonna watch the mayhem. And I love it. And then I'm gonna slaughter all of the criminals once they've done the crime. And it's gonna feel good. Because, like, sadism is like the lightning dragons. Like, their emotion of, like, bloodlust comes from happiness, which is called sadism to the dragons, because it is effectively just them serving a punishment to whoever has done the crime. Or the evil deed. So they could get a kick out of just doing the punishment. The light. Actually, maybe they would join together so that the driver that only feels anger and like justice, they watch the crime and then the light fist driver they serve the justice. Alright. I need to do... Are you serious? What even? What even is this? Where did you come from? Where? Here? Goodbye. Yeah, but the kinetic dragons, they are dangerous. Don't mess with them. No, not the kinetic dragons. They, lightning dragons. Don't mess with them. No, no. And then we have, the shredders, which is a horror variant. We have contorters and decimators. Decimators, they just seek to ruin everything. They also do the corruption where they kind of just twist the worlds. But the obliterators just obliterate everything. They destroy all life there is and makes everything uninhabitable. The spreaders, they blend everything and turn it into a concoction of life that just exists and itself assimilates whatever life comes near it. And the contorters, they twist. Wait a minute, there's something missing here. Where's my corruption sheet? Are you kidding me? No. Oh, cop me. No, wait, that I have on my phone, I'm pretty certain. Let me just see. If I get another song, I am, like... What? Okay, not there. Big Chief, no. This. Wave undergang enthrall. Where is the corrupt? I know I've wrote it. Where is it? You gotta be kidding me. Oh my goodness, where is it? It's somewhere. I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna turn on. I'm gonna try press on what the flip? Where is it? Where the crap is it? Browse. What? What? I know I wrote it somewhere. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. You gotta be. Oh. Oh. Oh, I'm pissed now. I am so pissed. Final battles. No, that's not what I need. That's. Oh my god. Okay. Story? Where the flip is it? I know I wrote it. The Underwar. Definite terrain. Where is it? Oh, this is nothing horrible. What? I feel like I'm crazy here. Word. Please, are you just messing with me or? I know I wrote. Maybe it wasn't a dream? Maybe I did it in a dream. But like, I'm just... Oh! What the flip? Okay, so the corruptions are... No, I'm just gonna write them because that's what... Now I'm pissed. Now I'm really pissed. The corruptions... corruptions are... contorted... plane? No, I know I've written this! What the flip? I know I've written this! I know I did! I'm crazy! Wait, where the flip? Where the... What? Sorry, I'm just. Oh, it's late at night and I'm not in the mood to do this. Yeah, I know. I. Oh my god! I remember I did. Oh, I feel like I'm going crazy. Oh my goodness. What the flip is going on? I know I wrote it. I know I wrote it somewhere. Where the flip is it? Oh my goodness. This is insane. What the flip? What? Corrupt? Okay, there's nothing corruption there. Is it over here? Is it over here? Please tell me it's over here. No, it's not here. What? Maybe I didn't press save. But why is it? What a save? I'm losing my mind. 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 Just how even? How? Why? Why? Okay, maybe it's because I can't see hidden files. Maybe view. Alright, calm down. I'm just. Oh, wait, no, it's here. The file sorting. But that's not the one I'm looking for. Oh, wait. Oh, shit, there's a lot. Oh, shit, there's a lot. Alright, this. It's not this one. Alright. Stay modified. This bit trying to open this, open with recovery converter. With the text recovery converter. Oh, whoa. Oh, there it is. Ah, I found it. Okay. I knew there was something wrong. Okay. We are gonna take. Let me just see. I got everything: carcels, Nox, spiders, wives, enthrallers, that thing, homelanders. Yep. And then we just take low. Yeah. Oh. Always double check. I knew I wrote it. Oh my god, I'm not crazy. You gotta activate show hidden files. Good. Now. Plan. Okay. Back to this. So, the segments, like the terrain, the like habitation levels are frozen expanse, which is like the top layer. Then there is chilled rocks, which is like a tundra. Then there's tempered. Then there's slush caverns. Then there's scorched rocks. I need another name for that. Molten caverns and untangled real space. Untangling, then there are the corruptions. Untangling, which is the one that horror induces, where it basically just. That is the. Actually, that should be the shredders. That should be shredders that do that. Then there's rat, which is what the homelanders do, and the lost graphics, they can also live in it, no problem. And I just broke another one because I was reading. Then we have Draftian Life. That is another type of corruption. Like, it is a separate style of corruption where it's basically just Draftian life forms that are living there. Then there is Blood Soaked, which is a third type of corruption, like separate from the two others. Then there's Earthly Life, which is the second type of corruption. Then there's Unnerved, which is the third type of corruption. Then there's Euclidean, which is the first type of corruption, so it's against untangling. Then there's Warped, which is also against the first type of corruption. And then there's Unified, which is also part of the third type of corruption. I actually don't know who causes Unified. Then there's also a location that's called Glass Smeared Towers. I can't remember what that was again. Maybe I just like the name. I think I should take another debut. Bro, I am. I just ain't able to do long streams. At least not when I'm this tired. Maybe it's like I should like set off, set like a day where I can stay up late, and let's say like I show up later. Maybe. But hey, we almost did a chest today, and I wrote a lot of, and I recovered my corruption list. Why do I have to be so tired? I don't wanna be tired. I wanna be free. I don't wanna be tired. I wanna be free. I don't wanna be tired. I just wanna be free. I don't wanna be tired. I just wanna be free. Let's just do 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Stop. I hate yawning. It's so annoying to yawn. I really don't like yawning. Alright. You can't see what I've done. That's the problem. You can't see what I've done. Oh well. Oh wait. I didn't do it right. There we go. And done. Alright, that's it for now. Goodbye. See you later. Oh, I'm gonna sleep now. Oh, that'll be nice.